this is important, dude. Look at this. GOP lawmaker makes blockbuster claim. FBI has at least 20 names of suspected Epstein clients. Now, why is this a bombshell, guys? Okay? Well, for obvious reasons. Like, one is for a GOP lawmaker making the claim that the FBI has 20 names. That's a big deal. Because why? Because Kash, Patel, Pam, Bondi, Dan Bongino, they all said there weren't any names.
You've seen most of the files. Who, if anyone, did Epstein traffic these young women to besides himself? And you said himself, there's no credible information, none. If there were, I would bring the case yesterday that he trafficked to other individuals. And Kennedy, the information we have, again, is limited. And Senator Kennedy said, the answer is no one. And you said, for the information we have. So is it your testimony today that in all the Epstein files, that Jeffrey Epstein trafficked no one to anyone but himself? Is that your testimony, Mr.
I never said Jeffrey Epstein didn't traffic anyone else.
Did he traffic any young woman to someone other than himself? That was Mr. Kennedy's question, Senator Kennedy's question.
The information that 3 administrations have had access to have made determinations that there are no investigative leads that were credible to prosecute and investigate any others. I'm specifically stating
whether
we were
your
working
testimony today.
Dude, he's such a snarky little fucking clown, right? But so he's saying, oh, he didn't say Jeffrey didn't traffic, but he is saying that the FBI has no information, that anybody trafficked, is what he's saying. They don't have any credible information that anybody trafficked, okay? And here's another one.
So have you reviewed those 302 documents where the victims name the people who victimized them?
If I personally know, but the FBI has.
So how can you sit here and in front of the Senate and say there are no names?
I said
I named one today.
I said we are not in the practice at the Department of Justice FBI of releasing victims' names. That is not what we do. We are also not in the habit of releasing incredible information. That's not what we do. Your representation.
If the president is not implicated, why not release everything that involves him?
We have released everything, the president and anyone else's side, that is credible and lawfully be able to be released. Your fixation on this matter and baseless accusations that I'm hiding child pedophiles.
Dude. Oh, shit. Dude, he does not like Eric Swalwell, okay? You know what I'm saying? He does not like Eric Swalwell at all, dude. They fucking go to war, dude. But anyway, so we have some standing here where you see that they say there's no names, is what they say. Epstein did stuff with girls, but nobody else. A Republican lawmaker revealed for the first time Wednesday that there is a quasi-list of suspected clients of sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein that can be compiled from a series of witness statements and other evidence gathered by the FBI. Okay, Rep. Thomas Massie told the House Judiciary Committee that the FBI has the names of at least 20 people tied to Epstein, including prominent figures in the music industry, in finance, in politics, and in banking. 20 people. And again, guys, these are from those witness statements, okay? The FBI did a full investigation. They had like a 53-page indictment on Epstein before Alex Acosta wiped it away. They talked to so many people. They have like field reports from witnesses and people who've reported Epstein, like 1,000 different victims. And it goes all the way back to 1996. When Maria Farmer and Annie Farmer first called the FBI and reported Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump, okay? They have the names. The revelation that there are names of suspects in the FBI files comes as FBI Director Kash Patel continued to insist there is no evidence of anyone else involved in Epstein's crimes. That's interesting, isn't it? Right? That there is no Epstein client list and that he has taken no steps to investigate some of the men named in the FBI files. Now, you keep you see that like Kash Patel keeps doing this wordplay where he says credible, okay? And they established this from the very beginning with Donald Trump, where they said, we will follow up any credible leads. So they've created a class of credibility, even though we don't know what the criterion is that makes something credible or not credible. Because if they're investigating no one, they're essentially saying all of their witness statements are not credible. And it's like, okay, well, if all of the witnesses are not credible, then why is Ghislaine Maxwell in prison? I mean, she went to prison. They went before a jury. So obviously some of these witnesses, some of this testimony, a lot of it is credible because it was enough to get a jury conviction and put that woman in prison. But by saying, well, we'll investigate anything credible, and then deciding that everything is not credible for whatever reason, they've created a like word loophole for them to be able to escape culpability. And they do this all the time. I mean, politicians kind of do this as a science, right? Where they create word loopholes. They do. I mean, it's part of the job. But the FBI should not be creating word loopholes when they have all this information. And it can clearly be investigated, right? Like, you're not saying we're going to fucking say people are guilty right off the bat, but there's no fucking reason why they can't be investigating all of those names. They should have been doing it for the last 6 years. But Massie cites files used by the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District in New York, which summarize interviews with witnesses and suspects. The lawmaker claimed those files include one Hollywood producer worth a few $100 million, one royal prince, one high-profile individual in the music industry, one very prominent banker, one high-profile government official, one high-profile former politician, one owner of a car company in Italy, one rock star, one magician. We know the magician is David Copperfield, right? At least 6 billionaires, including a billionaire from Canada. We know these people exist in the FBI files, the files that you control. Patel said he had asked FBI agents to review the existing files and added any investigations that arise from any credible investigation will be brought. There have been no new materials brought to me. On Tuesday, Patel blamed former Miami federal prosecutor Alexander Acosta for what he called the original sin, explaining that the decision to give federal immunity to Epstein in 2008 has hampered almost every effort by the FBI and Justice Department to hold those involved in Epstein's criminal operation accountable. Patel, a podcaster, God, dude, our whole government is like podcasters and reality TV stars, guys. It's like, what are we doing, bro? What are we doing? Patel, a podcaster who once called for the release of the files and helped propagate conspiracy theories about why they weren't being made public, testified just days before Acosta is set to finally tell his side of the story before a congressional committee. Dude, that Acosta fucking thing, I don't know if it's going to be public or what, but that's going to be the one, like, that's the one I want to see. On Friday, Acosta will be grilled by the House Oversight Committee in closed door, of course, testimony for the first time since he resigned as U.S. Labor Secretary amid renewed scrutiny of the case. Acosta was just 37 and a rising star in the Republican Party who had noble ambitions of becoming a U.S. Supreme Court Justice when he was named U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Florida in 2005. By the time he was sworn in, the FBI was already investigating Epstein, and evidence suggested that the crimes against children and young women he committed in Palm Beach went well beyond Florida. Right? There he is. Now 56, Acosta has almost vanished from public life. Good. Good, dude. He should be in prison. Other than appearing from time to time to discuss economic issues on the conservative TV network Newsmax, where he's also on the network's board of directors and chair of its audit committee, the Miami Herald was unsuccessful in obtaining a comment from Newsmax, which in recent months has portrayed Acosta as a victim of the deep state, suggesting Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell were unfairly targeted. Now, dude, we have seen this. Remember, who's the newscaster at Newsmax, guys, who was like saying like, oh, Ghislaine Maxwell's a victim. Who was that guy? Greg Kelly. Yes. Oh my God, dude. Here he is, dude. And what do you know? He's at Newsmax. He's at the news station that Alex Acosta is on the board. Isn't that a coincidence there, guys? That like Alex Acosta is on Newsmax, and so the Newsmax guy is out here saying, oh yeah, Ghislaine, she's a victim. Oh yeah, oh.
Let's find out, what is this all about? And she's also been subpoenaed by the Oversight Committee. I think this is great. I do have a feeling that she just might be a victim. She just might be.
She just might be.
There was a rush to judgment. There was a lot of chaos there for a while. All right, granted,
there was a lot of perjury. There's a lot of fucking perjury in her little interview with Todd Blanche. Isn't that gnarly? Here he goes, though.
All right, granted, she hung out with Jeffrey Epstein, and I know that's apparently not good.
Granted, she hung out with Jeffrey Epstein, hung out, and I know that's not good. Dude, Greg Kelly, she sexually abused girls! Teenage girls right with him! You fucking clown! Dude, what? You know what I'm saying? Like, wow, this guy is really something to behold.
But she's in jail for how long now? 20 years. A 20-year sentence. Let's find out.
Oh, yeah, 20 years. It's a good sentence there, Greg Kelly. Isn't that funny? This is the news station that Alex Acosta sits on the board of. Acosta has rarely spoken about the Epstein case. To this day, he has stood firm on his decision to give Epstein a plea deal, arguing in the past that the evidence wasn't strong enough to prosecute him on serious sex trafficking charges. That's bullshit. There was plenty of evidence. There was financial evidence. There was circumstantial evidence. There was witness evidence. There was like a lot of evidence. There were cameras and videotapes and shit. Of course, that shit disappeared courtesy of Adriana Ross. But an investigation completed in 2020 by the Justice Department concluded Acosta had used poor judgment in resolving the case with such a lenient plea deal. One that not only gave Epstein immunity from federal charges, but also gave immunity to 4 co-conspirators and an unidentified number of others who were involved. He was sentenced to 18 months in county jail, served 13, most of it under a work release program, which allowed him to leave prison during the day. It was 12 hours a day, 6 days a week he got to leave. And he continued to abuse young women in his Palm Beach office while he was an inmate. That's really big, guys. He continued to abuse women while he was like in jail for abusing. Okay. Acosta has also blamed the Palm Beach state attorney, Barry Krischer, specifically his decision early on to pursue only a misdemeanor charge and a fine against Epstein, which complicated any future federal prosecution. And dude, Krischer and Acosta both sank this. We found out later that Krischer and Acosta were talking in the negotiation of this deal, even though after the immunity deal, they like blamed each other, but they were talking. The DOJ's investigation into Epstein's plea deal also hit several roadblocks, among them the discovery that 11 months worth of Acosta's emails during the negotiations had vanished. Oh, that's really timely, isn't it? 11 months of Acosta's emails during the negotiations just vanished. Okay. Federal investigators blame the gap from May 2007 to April 2008 on a technical glitch that they said wasn't isolated to Acosta and had affected other federal email accounts. Of course, they extrapolated that glitch across multiple accounts so they could say that later. But isn't that convenient? That all his emails, yep, dog, dude, the dog, he's got the dog in him. The dog ate the fucking homework. The missing emails included the months and days leading up to and following October 12, 2007, when Acosta had a private breakfast meeting in Palm Beach with Epstein's lawyer, Jay Lefkowitz, a former Kirkland and Ellis law colleague. So Epstein's lawyer was one of his old buddies from the prestigious firm in Washington. The Miami Herald, in its 2018 investigation of the case, uncovered evidence suggesting Epstein and his battery of high-priced attorneys exerted undue influence over both state and federal prosecutors. And this includes our little buddy, Alan Dershowitz, okay, among other lawyers hired by Epstein. former Clinton special prosecutor and Kirkland Ellis lawyer Kenneth Starr, lawyer and friend Alan Dershowitz, who was later accused by Virginia Giuffre of sexual abuse, although she later recanted in lieu of threats, and Miami lawyer Lilian Sanchez, who, according to DOJ probe, had dated one of the federal prosecutors on the Epstein case, Matthew Menschel. So this whole thing is just a clusterflugen of like incestuous relationships and old partnerships and crony lawyering, okay? Emails between Epstein's lawyers and federal prosecutors obtained by the Herald showed the Epstein's lawyers repeatedly made demands and that federal prosecutors acquiesced each step of the way. So isn't that interesting, right? That this guy, they've got him like dead to rights, and his lawyers are making demands and the federal government just keeps acquiescing, right? Thank you for the commitment you made to me during our October 12 meeting, Lefkowitz wrote in a letter to Acosta after their breakfast meeting in Palm Beach. He added that he was hopeful that Acosta would abide by a promise to keep the deal confidential. By law, prosecutors were required to notify Epstein victims in advance of any plea agreement. And of course, the emails that led up to that breakfast meeting, we don't get to see any of those, okay? And again, though, they did not let the victims know, guys. They did not let the victims know. They fucked the victims so hard, like just royally. But again, bro, this is some phony ass shit, bro. My God. But the general gist of this is we know names, okay? There are 20 names, including some prominent ones, and Kash Patel and Pam Bondi and everybody out there saying, you know what? We don't know. You know what I'm saying? They're like, whoopsie. Yeah, everybody goes free. We don't know anybody's names, right? We got no names. Nobody knows anything. Nothing credible. They know names, okay? They do. They know names, guys. They absolutely do. What is up, guys? Thank you so much for watching. You like the video, you want to support independent resistance media, you know what to do. Drop that sub, hit the like button, and please share it. And we do love our members, so if you want to become a member, it's another really great way to support. Thanks again for everything, guys. I'll see you next time. Let's go.